I always kind of joke around and tell through like the Joe practitioner, like which ones are doing aesthetics? Is the one driving a Toyota or the one driving a Ferrari? I'll tell you which one it is, right? It's the one that's driving a Ferrari because they're making $1 million, $2 million a year or more because they have all these other verticals of cash pay revenue that maybe didn't have in a regular general practice, right? Where you're dealing with reimbursements and all that. So I think personally, if you're an MD of any sort, you can open up an aesthetics practice. Sure.
Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, founder of a revolutionary medical sales training and mentorship program called the Medical Sales Career Builder, and I'm also host of the Medical Sales Podcast. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire world. It doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing and diagnostic lab, you name it, you will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 10% performer within your role, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. And remember, I am a medical sales expert sharing my own opinion about this amazing industry and how it can change your life. Hey, Derek, how are we doing today?
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So, Derek, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so again, my name is Derek Sanders. I'm out here in San Diego, California, and I've been in the med device, med tech world for about 20 years now. I have, I started as a sales rep, been promoted a few times throughout my career. I've done a lot of different things. I've worked with really small startup companies to really big enterprise companies. I've worked in private equity businesses. I've done hospital stuff, capital.
Derek, you're giving the firm away. We can't give it all to him right now. We got to let him build up to it. All right. What's your current position today?
Yeah, so I'm a regional sales director for a company called Luminous, and we do medical aesthetic lasers.
Oh, let's talk about it. So, aesthetics. So, is it true that aesthetics is the one industry where you don't need a college degree? Is there any truth to that?
I think overall, yeah, you can. You can get in without a college degree. I think the industry as a whole is kind of veering away from that as being like a primarily prerequisite, a must-have. I think some traditional companies still, need to check that box. But as you look as the industry as a whole, I think, other experiences now are maybe holding more validity and more, power over that 4-year degree. But it's still a great thing to have. Always, being the advocate to get that 4-year degree. But, aesthetics, you can do a lot of different things as well, too.
Fantastic. So let's talk about laser aesthetics. Let's be specific now.
Mm-hmm.
How many different divisions of aesthetics are there? And if you don't know the exact number, just give us a general estimate.
There's a lot of different aesthetics, right? From like topical skin things. So what we do is like devices, energy-based devices. So I would say there's probably a dozen different avenues you can get into the aesthetic world.
Okay. And with laser aesthetics, what's it to that? Is that a 9 to 5? Is that strictly elective? Is that pop in, pop out? Is that weekends? Talk to us.
Yeah, so we do. It's strictly elective, right? It's all cash pay stuff, right? So we call it plastic surgeons, dermatologists, and med spas primarily. So these are the patients are people coming in that want to do like facial servicing, laser hair removal, laser regrowth in certain areas, right? So all these things aren't traditionally insurance paid. So cash revenue streams for these businesses. So it's a lot of, office-based stuff as opposed to being in the OR of the hospital.
So all the clientele, they got money.
Yeah, it's not everything's expensive, but there's a complete variety of different types of treatments you can get in aesthetics. Yeah,
right, because it's cash. You don't have to deal with insurance at all.
Right. No, that's why the doctors of business love it, right? Because it's not reimbursement. It's people come in, swiping a credit card, and they're getting paid.
Wow. So when you come in, are they just like, oh wow, Derek's here? Yes, Derek.
Look, yeah. Well, luckily we do have devices that make them money, right? So they love to hear what we say. We have the best in class stuff. But it's a super competitive industry, right? There's a lot of companies that sell a lot of devices and energy-based stuff and lasers. And so it's, a lot of times it's kind of cutthroat where you're something against your direct competition and also other people who are buying at the same time in dollars for your customer, right? And that could be in a skincare line, that could be another type of, hydrofacial stuff and all the different things that go into aesthetics. So yes, I'd like to believe that they see us like, all right, we're going to hear some great, but there's a lot to it, right?
So let's talk about it. So, you said it's a cutthroat. I think I've had a few aesthetics professionals on the podcast, and I do hear that theme over and over again, that aesthetics is one person even told me aesthetics is the most brutal out of all medical sales because of how competitive it is. So, take us into a day in the life. First of all, Do you work solo or do you have a team?
Yeah, so I run the West Coast for Luminous. So I have a team of about 10 reps.
Right.
And then we have like sales managers, and we call them territory managers, sales managers that work in the machines. So a couple levels.
And your reps, individual reps in their own territories,
Correct.
their territories, their world, and that is that. Or are they working with other, ancillary, other partners or anything like that?
I mean, we work a lot with like clinical and marketing teams, but the reps territory, that's their business. They run it, and that's what they're responsible for.
Got it. And is it a 9 to 5? Meaning when a med spa or a clinician's office opens, that's when you go to work, and when they close, that's when you go home.
I mean, none of this is a 9 to 5, right? So it's like, we hit the golden hours versus the hours of the med spas are open. We get for any customers, but like everything else you do, the calls, the email, all that stuff, we want to do that in the secondary hours. So, there's some nights, weekends involved. We do some events, there's like launch parties, stuff like that we get involved with. So you're going to have your typical nights and weekends things, but just like any other, job in the industry, it's just kind of you work when the work's like when the business is there, right? And that's kind of what we do as well too. It's not as like early as like OR jobs where we do the 6 a.m., 7 a.m. start. Med spas and plastic surgery usually don't open up until 9 or 10. But you're open later, it's like 6 or 7 sometimes. So it's a little bit of a shift.
For the average rep, and then maybe the newer rep, how often do they do these events? I mean, so they're working between 9 and 5 or 9 to 7, 9 to 6 to 7. It's an event twice a week, 3 times a week, once a month. What does it look like?
Yeah, maybe once or twice a month. I mean, we have some big ones that are company sponsored that everybody goes to. Maybe it's once or twice a quarter. You have some trade shows that we still do, right? And those typically are on the weekend. And then you can do like with customers, if they're, the customer of yours and they try to promote something, you can help them. That's usually, a night, a weekend, so a few hours. It's not like a big commitment, but it's still there.
Okay. So a day in the life of a aesthetics rep for Luminous.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing, is it med spas you're mostly calling on? Is it clinicians who are you mostly calling on? Where is the bulk of the business actually coming from?
Yeah, so I say now, especially in the last couple of years, there's been a huge surge of med spas opening. And so typically these are small business owners, right? Sometimes they're clinical, sometimes they're not. So there's that, right? They all have to have a medical director that hands a license, but not necessarily being the decision maker. They also have like plastic surgeons, right? Who have their offices and dermatologists. Those are physicians, obviously in clinical, and they usually are the business owner as well too. And they may have partners. So it's a mix, right? We're talking with high-end docs. We're also talking with small business owners and combination of both.
So, I mean, do you have representatives that it's 90% med spas or 90% surgeons? And what did they say about either?
Yeah, I would say, we like to sell a lot to the core, which is plastics and derms and surgeons, right? They intend to buy technologies. And, now in this world, financing is way difficult, especially if they're not ND, just the way of the world right now. So for us, it's easier to sell to a plastic and a derm. However, there's a lot more, I think, volume-wise in med spas now. And so you have, your typical really high-end ones, and you have, more of your volume stuff. And so it's just a different kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, we talk to a doctor with deep confidence every time, right? But not always how it happens. And so you got to really mix it up. Like, if you just focus on one, you're going to miss out on one.
So, I mean, how does the selling style change between when you're selling to a med spa versus selling to a plastic surgeon?
Yeah, so, I mean, depending on the doctor, right? Some doctors really like to be clinical and really, the lasers, right? It's optophysics, so you can really nerd out on the tech if you want to. And, we don't try to do that all the time. I mean, want to know enough about the technology to have a good presentation, but we don't want to get too deep in the weeds in it. So, I mean, when you're talking to a doctor, obviously you got to hit their, most important points, which can be more clinical, what the studies say, what's the efficacy, what are the results, right? What are the patients saying? Med spas, you're selling G a little bit more, right? It's the ROI bit, right? And it's like, hey, you bring this technology in, the patient's going to come and ask for these treatments and use your ROI over, the 18 months, whatever it is. And so so sometimes that talk track changes a bit, but I think you're talking to a plastic or a med spa, you're still talking about the same things. There's just maybe you're emphasizing one or another depending on your, conversation.
Now, has there been enough presence from companies like Luminous in the med spa space that, for plastic surgeons, if a rep walks in, that's expected. I mean, that's been happening often enough that even a new plastic surgeon expects to see representatives to a degree. Is it also like that in the med spa world, or are they like, who are you and what do you want?
No, I mean, I would say any office, past rest probably gets between probably 10 to 15 reps a day at least.
Wow.
At least. And it's all over, right? And the good thing about Luminous, right, we're a gold standard in the industry for a long time, the lasers and laser aesthetics. So a lot of doctors who trained know about Luminous technology from the residency programs, right? So they know the name, the brand is very strong. But there are a lot of competitors now, right? I think you mentioned earlier that you're interviewing some of these guys sales, so that's the hardest of all the med stuff, right? I've done a lot, all of it, right? And I would agree with that. That this job right now for sales and medical capital and aesthetics capital, it is probably the hardest I have had to deal with. And for a variety of different reasons, it's a different world than where you're working with hospitals, the OR, you have bionos committees, right? And you have more clinical driven stuff. Right. And maybe the competition is not 10 or 15 competitors for one thing, right? Anymore. Two, you got contracts you can work with, right? Take all that away, and it's really kind of a free for all. When any company come in, or they got a product that's really good or different, right? They're buying for that time those dollars from same customers. You got to deal with all that, and you got to move fast in this world because things go quickly. The sales cycle is shrunk down to 30 days, then 45 days as opposed to a year at hospital. So you got to be highly active. You got to ground running. You got to do a lot of cold calls, a lot of follow-ups, and it's kind of a volume game.
So you say it's a volume game. So is it like a lot of me too? Like I have this device and they got the device too, or is there a differentiation in the technology?
So both, right? So you have companies that have differentiators, right? So Luminous is always known as for a lot of money in research and development, have high quality stuff. But there are a lot of companies out there that kind of have lead tube stuff that's a little cheaper. They have kind of gimmicky things. They have things that put a lot of marketing dollars behind it. They go a lot to direct to consumer. So the consumers are asking for these types of services and treatments, right? So you get a lot of that as well too. I think, in the aesthetics world, everybody's always looking for the next thing. So from the patients themselves to the business owners, right? It's always an ever revolving door. What's next? What's new? What's going to catch the eye of my patient population that's going to bring them back into clinic and asking for this treatment? So it's always evolving. There's always something, everybody's always trying to stay on the foreground, right up in the end of the curve.
And, give us a little bit of the other side. When it comes to patients, so even though there's a lot of direct-to-consumer going on, reps are never talking to patients. Or that happens sometimes.
Very rarely we talk to patients, right? If we're helping with like an event, say, a plastic surgeon is launching a different treatment, right? They'll have a party, their patient population will come in. So you're talking to the patients there a little bit, but that's really not our job. We'll train the staff sometimes how to talk to patients if they're looking for something and then how to lead to a different treatment, But yeah, our reps really don't talk to patients that often.
Okay. With patients, is laser aesthetics driven mostly by women, or is it actually more even than people think?
I think it's a lot more even than people think, right? And so there's different aspects in aesthetics. You see a lot of males come in for like laser and hair removal, which has been predominantly dominated by female, right, patients. You see a lot of males coming in now too and doing those services, right? And so that's been a great uptick for businesses because the patient population has doubled just by, more men doing it, right? More like facial stuff. Men are getting more involved in that as well too. We just launched a hair restoration device that's actually clinically proven to regrow hair. And so that's going to be both men and female. You think just off the top of my head, it's going to be a male-driven, thing. But actually women suffer from hair loss as well too, whereas, postmenopausal or other things. And so, for females to regrow hair, it's more difficult. It's harder for them to do the hair transplant. There is something. So I think to answer your question is like, you're seeing a lot more. It's not just female days, it's both that. It's still not even, but male population definitely catching up.
So, go to TikTok and you put in hair restoration and just see all these guys like flying out to Colombia or to Turkey or some faraway place, spending a couple of $1,000 coming back with a full set of hair.
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that bad? Is this, talk to us about, you know what I'm talking about. Talk to us.
So for like hair risk, I would say the risk there is minimal, right? I think we see a lot like in veneers and dentistry and other things. Like I think, depending on what you're trying to do, like where's that risk? Like if you're having like a laser resurfacing where it's a lot of downtime afterwards, I don't know if I would trust other places that aren't so regulated like the FDA, right? So those regulations are put in to protect people and patients, right? If you're going to other countries and we're trying, saving some money there, to offset that, maybe they don't have the regulation or the correct devices without training us properly to do those treatments. So if somebody's going to do that, that's the right. They should definitely do as much research and get as much information about those practices and those people doing those procedures for them. And if they feel good about it, then I think, it's probably okay. But me personally, or if like my friends and family, I'm like, look, get it done here because we know what we're going to expect. Like you go to Turkey, you don't know what you're going to expect for the most part.
Got it. Got it. Now, what years ago, I'm talking almost 20 years ago, I started out in pharma and it was general pharma way back then. And, you had these physicians that were primary care physicians that suddenly overnight opened up aesthetics practices and were selling all kinds of treatments, this, that, talk to us about, did that still go on and it's still like that? And is there a lot of regulation or is it really just wide open for any practicing physician?
So each state has different laws and regulation when it comes to that, but we do see a lot of internists, right? Just MDs, general practitioners who are now opening up aesthetics practices because, it's cash pay. Now you don't have to deal with reimbursements. So to deal with, shrinking reimbursements and, not making the money you want, increasing insurance payments, all that, right? For your own self. So having a cash pay business is a very smart business move. I always kind of joke around and tell through like the general practitioner, right? Which ones are doing aesthetics? Is the one driving a Toyota or the one driving a Ferrari? I'll tell you which one it is, right? It's the one that's driving a Ferrari because they're making $1 million, $2 million a year or more because they have all these other verticals of cash pay revenue that maybe you didn't have in a regular general practice, right? Where you're dealing with reimbursements and all that. So I think personally, if you're an MD of any sort, you can open up an aesthetics practice. For sure.
So if it's that easy, where does the, lack of a better word, skill set come into play? Like, is it just ridiculously varying degrees, or is it simple enough for a physician to understand that it won't be that challenging to provide good care? Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, so it's easy in the fact that there's not a lot of barriers to entry to open up an aesthetics practice, right? If you're a doctor, you can do that. But you have to be very business sound. The business itself is not easy. And you can talk to anybody that has one. It's very difficult business to get into as far as setting it up, making money on it. There is quite a bit of overhead, and you're dealing with different types of patients and different type of business, right? So now you got to come in, pay money out of their own pocket for these services, as opposed to people come in because they need something, from that other general practitioner. So I think the ones that succeed are the ones that have a bit more business savvy, or if not, they hire somebody to run that practice for them. Right? They're still the MD behind it. It's their license, right? They're kind of overseeing everything. They may do some of the more medical stuff treatments that they like to, and maybe have somebody in place that's really business oriented and knows how to drive that revenue and bring those patients in, because it's more of a marketing play as well too, right? If you just go on the form of open aesthetics practice, you got to have some marketing or need behind it to drive patients to you, because even for them, it's very competitive as well too, right? So a lot of practice opened up. So what makes you different than the one down the street?
So actually, I don't know that. So it is that competitive now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll say, ever since like COVID, right? I mean, the industry kind of exploded during COVID as everybody was at home, right? They're not spending money on traveling or going out to eat, so they're saving money, and they're on Zoom calls all day looking at themselves and like what my face looks. So they get tired, they go fall, and aesthetics practices were open by medical, right? Okay. And so the industry got, it just had this huge uptick. But else went down, medical aesthetics went up. Now, a lot of people outside were seeing that, like, oh my God, let's open up a medical aesthetics practice, right? So you saw a huge groundswell of new businesses opening up the last 3 or 4 years. So it's got a lot more editing, right? Now, you still have like their big plastic surgeons and dermatologists have a name behind them. They'll always be fine. It's, the 4X med spas that opened up in the last 4 years. We'll see what happens, right? As industry kind of levels out, which ones will thrive and which ones will kind of, go by the wayside. We see a lot of consolidation now. So private equity groups are buying up dozens of them that come under one like central kind of, management. So we see all that.
Okay, so you're saying you might have a situation where you have 5 different small competitive med spas, and then a group is coming to buy them all out?
They could, yeah. But
who's doing the buying? Who are they?
So a lot of these like private equity firms, right? And so they do, bring a bunch of money and they go to, Samuel's med spa and say, hey, so you have a business here, we want to take this over and offer you an offer to buy a practice. And maybe that you're still in it, maybe, hey, you're retired, you're done, right? That's great. And so finding these situations, some of them are the ones that are doing well. Some of them, specialize on maybe the undervalued ones, which Douglas is buying cheaper, turn around, right? Make money and sell them off again. And so we've seen these groups, and they're usually just, generic groups run out of a different state that come in and buying 10 or 100 of them. over time, not all one time, but you'll see them kind of getting picked off. In dermatology, you see that a lot too. So there's some big like companies that have 100 or 200 dermatology offices are now kind of almost like, you know, in a hospital hierarchy where there's one overarching.
Right.
Let's get more corporate.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know our programs cover the entire career of a medical sales professional. From getting into the medical sales industry, to training on how to be a top performer in the medical sales industry, to masterfully navigating your career to executive level leadership. These programs are personalized and customized for your specific career and background, and trained by over 50 experts, including surgeons. Our results speak for ourselves, and we're landing positions for our candidates in less than 120 days in top medical technology companies like Stryker, Medtronic, Merck, Abbott, you name it. Would you run an Ironman race without training and a strategy? You wouldn't. So why are you trying to do the same with a medical sales position? You need training, you need a strategy, and you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and let's get you into the position you've always dreamed of.
So would you say that plastics, I just assume that if you're a plastic surgeon, you know this business better than anyone. You could probably hire some people to open your own med spa. Or is that not really happening? And the people opening the med spas are more entrepreneurs that just want to be in that space.
So both, right? So I see plastic surgeons, you know, they're more surgical, but they get devices too. And so that, then we have their plastic surgery practice, right? They're going to open their own med spa also. So they get patients in who maybe are not candidates for, let's say, a facelift surgical one, right? But they do laser treatment. So maybe they'll send them to their own med spa, have it done there. And so they kind of have their own referral cycle going on, right? And so you see that, and we see the entrepreneurs who come out and say, look, I can do this business. You know, let's get office space, let's get a medical director to hand the license, and let's get the marketing tuition, you know, kicked up, let's go.
Let's take it back to the rep. So what is the compensation model? The typical compensation model for, and by the way, laser aesthetics, is it capital device laser aesthetics? Is it all the above laser aesthetics? How would you define what you do at Lumenis, or what your team does at Lumenis?
Yeah, we're 99% capital, or capital. Yeah, we have very, very little disposables or consumables. So it's a capital sale.
Okay, so you know that our audience, many people are in the industry, and a whole bunch of people aren't.
Yep.
Describe for our audience what you mean when you say capital equipment.
So a box, right? So lasers, the device itself, these lasers cost between say $80,000 to $250,000. So one, that goes to your number, you don't get any recurring residual off of that. So it's, you know, drop a box, you know, to your customers, well, go find another deal to sell, right? So, you know, it's all net new business.
Okay, so, perfect segue. So give us a little bit more about the compensation model. Is there a base salary typically, that all commission typically, what does it look like?
I would say, you know, for us, and, you know, the industry's pretty much in line with each other, the companies, but bases are between like 60 to 90,000 a year, probably. On target earnings, first years in the 300s, sell it comfortably. You know, we have a lot of discretion on how much we sell devices for. So we have a price probably, right? To get higher margin, you get a higher percent commission. We can sell lower, but you take the other commissions, right? So I would say the best reps do between 600,000 and 800,000 a year. I mean, it's not atypical to see $1 million reps who are making $1 million or more a year every year, right? Those are, you know, special people who know the business and probably built a business in our area. It's a lot not just know that. And those companies, you know, that they're running up, you know, Cynosure, when they brought the Mona Lisa laser back 10, 12 years ago, those reps crushed it, right? In mode with the market to say, yeah, when I hit the ground, you know, there's a lot of, you know, people wanting those devices, right? So they're running out there and you made a lot of money, right? And so it's definitely opportunities there. It's you know, it's a pretty simple formula, this job. It's like be highly active, do a lot of stuff, and then we'll close. You know what I mean? But it's not easy. It's a very hard job. And that's why I see people making this kind of dollars. Because if it wasn't easy, the money wouldn't be there, right? And so people can get in and do it and actually survive. And there's a lot of churn in this industry, like probably 60, 70% turnover yearly. And a lot of it is because people think they want to do it. Like, right? Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, we're always hiring, right? Everybody's always like hiring because you never know when people turn out and stuff like that. Yeah.
So let's get into it, because I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, 100,000 people just heard you say that $1 million can be made, and now they're really paying attention. So let's talk about it. What does it look like for that rep that is making that kind of money? That's not, you know, burning out. That's just doing this, and this is what they do. That's the example you can. What does life look like, though?
So essentially, they have a team, right? And so they'll have like territory managers, which is one below them, who all they do is set meetings for them. set closing meetings, right? And then the full line rep, the senior rep will go in and close. And so when you have that machine running smoothly, the rep making $1 million, you know, they're just every day hitting closing meetings, right? Closing business every day.
How many a day on the average for a rep like
I
that?
would say if they do that, you're probably closing 2 to 3 big devices a week. So maybe not one a day, but a couple a week, right? Which is that's a good clip. That's a lot of business. And to do that, you need a team of people. So you can't do it yourself, right? You have to have people helping you setting appointments, you know, qualify these prospects first, get them to the table, and then you got to come in and close them. And you're good at that. And keep doing it. And you don't take breaks. We don't make that kind of money. You know, there's no holidays, no birthdays. You go run a business there. Money doesn't sleep, right? So if you want a job that's a bit more like that or not make that money, then there's out there. But if you really would be that rep to make $1 million in a year, you can do that. You just sacrifice a lot of things.
Okay, let's take it further.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could think of a generic person that fits this, what does their life look like? Are they married? Are they single? Do they really not take any holiday or vacations? I mean, talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at that level, I mean, it doesn't really matter married or single, as long as their spouse understands that. You know, a lot of times, you know, Saturday is a working day, the 6-day work week. You know, it depends. Like, again, like if you want to make that money, you have to do so much business per week every week. If you want to take a 2-week vacation, that's fine, but then you're not going to make that, right? So I think, you know, if you want to just crush it for a new year, right? If 1 year, so I want to make $1 million this year, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. I probably personally wouldn't take a vacation. I'd probably work 6 days a week and make sure that all these things line up, and I'd hit it hard. And then I would take like 2-month vacation because they burn out.
So the reps doing that, they don't always operate at that. They literally decide when they want to, for whatever reason, and then kind of pull back and just, you know, take the job and try it.
I would think it's pretty unsustainable to do that like that, you know, level for so long year over year. People do it and you see some people burn out, or, you know, then they got to take some time and, you know, maybe go to a different company and bounce around a little bit. That happens as well too. But, you know, the industry, just like all medical device, it's a very lucrative and fun industry to be in. And really, you decide how you want to work your day for the most part based on what your goals are, right? And so you don't have to do all of that, right? But it's still a high volume job. You gotta get out there, you know, foots in the street, do a lot of cold calling and that stuff. But like, you can take vacations, you can take your weekends and holidays, stuff like that. You just gotta understand that, look, you know, this business, some people like, you know, March, June, September, December, bad months, take vacation. January, April, you know, July, October, okay, right? You know, the quarter, you take a week off. And the quarters are always, you know, it's very much the hockey stick to this business, where the back 2-3 weeks of the quarter is like 50% of the business. And it's just the mentality of customers think like they're a better deal at the end of the quarter, right? Where that you don't deal with in hospitals so much, but in private practice, when they're small business owners, I think they can, you know, get a few more percentages off if they buy it at, you know, June 30th, for example.
Right. No, that makes sense. So, you know, you've been in this space for a while, and you're a leader now. What makes the best kind of rep from your vantage point? You know, where are they typically coming from? What kind of mentality do they typically have?
Yeah, so I think in aesthetics world, you know, I think somebody that's coming from a good business background is important. Somebody understands what the day in life is, activity level, being out there, you know, cold calling up indoors, sourcing your own deals, taking them from, you know, prospecting to close, able to do that. Everything else I think can be taught. But again, people that think they want to do this job, and they realize, I don't want to do 20 cold calls a day, right? I don't want to ask somebody for their, you know, credit, you know, social security number because their credit rating, right? Like, those are hard things to do. And so you have that or you don't, right? So that's the thing we need first. After that, we can teach the tech, right? We can teach you laser physics. We can teach you the protocols, like in anything else in the industry, right? That's the easy part. So for me, it's like I look for that business background that comes from industry. That's usually a pretty good sign, depending on if it has some success. You know, other than that, it's just like, do you have the hunger and the drive to do it? Because again, like, you know, the world is yours. You create what you want in this job. So if you don't want much, I don't want you on my team because you're not going to perform, right? So I want people who, you know, want to buy the $2 million house. They want to buy a Porsche, right? They want to take the vacation. I like that. With every quarter, we send out a thing called big ass goals, right? So we write down what our big ass goals are. I want big ass goals, right? Like, once you say, I want to make $100,000 this quarter, I want to know what you're going to do with that money. And that's what we're going to talk about. Or buy a boat. Wait, let's talk about that boat. Because I want you to drive, take that money to get that vote, because if you do it bad, you're performing, and at the end of the day, that's how I did, right? Having full team performing. So that's what I want to have high aspirations. They want to put their head down and get the job done.
And I'm thinking about that scene from Glengarry Ross right now. That killer salesman that knows why he's there and goes after the
It's a little bit like that, right? There's a little, this is a salesy sales job for sure.
Yeah. I like it. So on the other side of that then, right? What does it look like from the company's point of view? You know, what's considered not performing? When is the company like, look, if you don't figure it out, first of all, what kind of tolerance does a company like Luminous have for someone in that that's not performing, that's not doing what they need to do in 1 quarter, 2 quarters?
I mean, yeah, there's really no excuse for not selling something in a quarter, right? I mean, it happens. The quarter is around, say, like $2.5 million for a year. So break it up about 600,000, 500,000 a quarter. It escalates as the year goes on. You know, but if you're not performing, if you're, 20, 30% of the plan every quarter for 2 or 3 quarters, you're going to be put on the plane, right? So maybe 2 quarters, right? And then we look at, okay, are you doing the things, right? If you're 20% of the plan 1 quarter and you're not doing the things, that's going to be bigger pop fast. So we'll probably have to manage you out quicker, right? So now, if you're doing all the things, just, have bad luck or something personal life happened, yeah, we'll take all that considerations. Hey, this is a good person. They're doing everything. There's a little, stumbling block. We'll get you back up and going, and you'll start performing, right? So, it's our job as leadership to find out, okay, where are the people who are struggling? Why are they struggling? And what do we do to fix it? Does that mean I'm on plan manage them out, or does it mean do they need more training perhaps, or, some other things, and try to do that? So,
no, that makes sense. And then, okay. So we talked about the drive that someone needs to have for themselves. What about the other side of that? What about what you're actually doing for the patient? I mean, give me, what I love to ask is, whether you saw this through one of your reps or maybe back in the day when you were one, when did you see someone go through something that you sold that you said, whoa, this is what I'm doing. I'm changing lives in these ways.
Yeah, so when I started as a rep, I was in lasers and, worked for a small startup called OmniGuide, and we had a CO2 laser that was flexible. So what that did was somebody who had a tongue cancer or throat cancer, instead of having an open procedure, the surgeon now can take the laser energy through the mouth, cut the tumor out, right, and save a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of recovery because you don't have this huge open, wound, right? So it's a lot more efficacious that way. And so that just seemed based in recovering faster, right? Their cancer free quicker. And I was like, okay, we're doing something really good in that aspect, right? Now go like 180 down in the aesthetics world. It's like, okay, this is a superficial, people will look better. But actually, it's a little deeper than that, because when people look good, they feel good, right? And especially after COVID, there's a whole mental health aspect to this flow too, right? And so somebody's, not happy with how they look. It's going to have a drastic impact on how they feel and how they know about their life, right? So they can do a simple procedure with low downtime and make themselves feel better and look better. And it has that, mental health thing too. So, at the end of the day, for most of what we do, that's our why, right? We're really helping patients, and then our customers are providers, really helping them grow business. So, and the more patients they can help, the better the business gets too. And they want to help people as well too. So it's a different, area of the spectrum, right? It's like, treating cancer patients on one side, and then it's like, okay, they just feel better. About that as well too. And even patients with like burn scars and like a really bad scar or acne, right? These devices can really help them, with functionality of areas of the body, and also just aesthetically looking better, right? And so that has a huge impact too.
Wow. Okay. Tell us, what are the top 2 to 3 things that just aren't pleasant about the job that just comes with it? If somebody wants to get in this space, this might not, I don't want to use bad words, but I want to make my point. This might suck. Tell us what are those 2, 3 things that you just got to know going in that you might experience, most likely will experience if you take this job.
Yeah. So I think the main thing, right? This is a huge emotional roller coaster. You get really, really high highs and really low lows. So you can't take things personally. We tell people, look, learn how to ride a little kid's roller coaster, right? The adult roller coaster is way up and down. The little kid one's, not as bad. So get the mind frame. Don't let yourself get into, a bad spot, right, mentally, because it does happen. And people, they get out of it because of the ups and downs like that. So you have to be prepared, deal with it, right? And it's a lot more than any other part of the industry as far as the high highs and low lows. And those low lows, and stack them up, you're just going to be, out of the game, right? And so that's the main thing, is be prepared for that. Don't take things personally, and this job, like everything.
Can you give an example of that? And before we move on to the next one, sure. Give us the example of what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. So say you did all the work, you get everything right, and you're into a deal, and the customer, at the end of the day, when they're about to close, they don't close, they buy something else from the competitor, right? That happens all the time. Or, it's weird because in this industry, the competition knows when you're getting close to close a deal, and they come out of the woodwork, right? They start trying to blow up your deal, right? They do anything they want. It's not you getting a sell. Not just like them selling something, but it's about you. So that's a really low when you're almost at the finish line and something like that happens, right? And your customer buys something else. Or we see a lot too is, if they can't qualify for credit. I want to buy stuff there. I know you do, but like, can you, right? And so if they don't have the credit worthiness to do that, you get to the finish line and you can do your job properly by qualifying early. And it's like, well, can't sell this to you. And so that sucks too, right? That's really tough because you spend all that time and all that effort and energy doing all the right things, right? And then just be shut down like that.
That's one. Give it one or two more.
Yeah. So I think, here you've gotten super active, right? Again, like out every day. We don't take off days, right? This is 5 days a week in the streets, knocking on doors. We work in our cars, right? We have our meetings, stuff like that, but you have to be okay with Monday and 8 a.m. I'm driving into the territory, I'm doing my things, and be super active about that. If you're the kind of person that doesn't want to be always, bounce around, then that's something to take into consideration too. And you'll be uncomfortable a lot, in the hospital job. A lot of times we're comfortable at 1 or 2 ORs and go to any businesses there, right? And have your conversations. This is not like that. It's something new every day.
Something new every day, meaning you talk to us. As in a new account that doesn't know you yet or something else?
Yes, you assume that most accounts don't know who you are yet, right? They go into one mall. Yeah, like you're not going to the same accounts all the time. You've got to find new business. And so, we have our territory maps. We know kind of, a good idea of, where the opportunity is and map it out and go to it, right? And you should be able to see everybody once a quarter in your territory. And so after that, over time you build some relationships. Sure. But, you'd have to be doing different things every day, to grow that business and grow the pipeline, finding new opportunities.
Sure. How often are you growing? I mean, are there situations where you see the potential for a business, a med spa, or a practitioner, and you're like, okay, you know what? Because of where they are, they're new. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be the next big thing in like a year or two. Yeah, I'm gonna be part of this process. Does that happen often?
Happens all the time, and that's what we think, and that's the way all the competition thinks too. So they're getting hit from everybody, right? So everybody has that same mentality. So it's not like they have something that's so revolutionary that's going to set them apart. So, there is that, but everybody's the same.
And then, how entrenched are you getting? I was talking to a spine surgeon and he was sharing with me how a lot of the reps, they're hanging out. Like they're truly hanging out. Weekend, the kids know each other and the reps are almost acting like spine surgeons without actually doing it. So, talk to us about it. What does it look like in capital laser aesthetics?
Yeah, so it's a little different. I mean, you have that a little bit, but when you're a spine rep, you spend a lot of time with that surgeon, right? You're in the cases with probably 30, 40 hours a week with them. So that's one evolve over time. It should, right? You're actually not having that kind of time. You may still a little bit of time with the customer. Maybe you have a family cocktail with them or something like that, but it's not like, you can tell insurance. It could happen, but not at the same like I just see like in spine cells,
Now, would you say that the reps that do that are more successful or not really?
I mean, in this business, one friendly client is not going to make a number, right? They're just not going to buy all they need. So if you spend all your time with them, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. But if you're just a very personal person that makes the relationships, yeah, it will help you. Because when that customer needs something, they'll call you first.
Sure.
Right? So you can't rely on it 100%, but, it's definitely a positive thing. Okay. I have to always be thinking about, hey, where's the mentioning opportunity coming from?
Got it. Derek, it was awesome having you on the show. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom with us. We can't wait to see what you do next.
I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks a lot. It was always fun being here.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a customized and personalized program that gets you into the medical technology industry as a sales professional or any type of role for that matter. Become a top performer in your position and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolvesuccess.com by visiting our site, filling out an application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and allowing us to get you where you need to be. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews on the Medical Sales Podcast.